We surveyed over 2,000 Gridwise users and rideshare drivers across the country. 81% of you have told us that you're going to have trouble making your next payment, paying your bills, if you don't drive for Uber or Lyft or rideshare. Now, Brandon, I think this is a serious issue that we have to talk about today.
Yeah. No, this is it's getting pretty wild. Like, I think last time we had this we had a pod, it was a little bit, things weren't quite what they are now, and it didn't look like they were going to get to this point, but here we are, where as of right now, what is it, March 16th at 4:47 Central, about 6 o'clock Eastern time. A significant amount of cities have essentially shut down all non-essentials.
We talked about this kind of lightly 2 weeks ago, how it was going to be this hockey stick. You know how a hockey stick just shaped like flat, and then boom, straight up on a stick head. And lo and behold, as if overnight, the world is ending. I mean, restaurants closing, NBA, NHL, MLB, all sports games shut down. Wasn't it? They were in the middle of a game.
Yeah.
When the refs came out, they were like, "Y'all got to go."
It was right before they were going to start a game, and
so all the fans had already driven.
Fans were there. Players were basically on the court. They were warming up, and then just
paid for their Ubers.
Paid for their
Lyft.
And then it just shut down. It's wild. It is absolutely wild how the world has changed.
And this is how exponential functions work. Like 2 becomes 4.
Yeah.
4 becomes 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. I can't go any further. My brain's not big enough. But 1,000 becomes 2,000, 2,000, 4,000, so on and so forth. And we're on trajectory to being like Italy with over 20,000 cases.
I mean, hopefully we've taken measures faster than Italy did. I don't know if that's true, to do the social distancing thing to kind of get rid of everything, but with that social distancing comes, for gig workers, not only gig workers but also hourly workers, that leaves a lot of people in limbo, where you're like, okay, well,
it really does.
That's great that maybe I won't get sick, but how am I gonna pay my bills? And then that's where I think so many rideshare drivers, where they're at right now, it's like, how am I paying my bills right now?
What do I do? Damned if I do, damned if I don't. If I drive, I catch the virus. If I don't drive, I catch financial destitute. And I just feel terrible. So I just want to preface by saying, by the time we released our last podcast, things weren't as bad. We were maybe at a few cases, right? Nothing was out of the ordinary, and then we published it about a week after, and then that's when things were just starting to take a turn for the worse. Yeah. So I would say probably should address that. Me personally, I wasn't trying to make light of the situation at all. I hope it didn't come across that way.
And I think a lot of people potentially had issue with us saying that earnings were up, which they were. That's not untrue, and that is of course from an hourly standpoint. Drivers that were on the road at that point were making more per hour, likely because of surge and just less drivers on the road. That was true. We did not make that up. That was not fake news. We have the data to back that up, that we are working on kind of being able to release a little bit more freely. I think, we did take that topic a little bit too lightly, especially given when we actually released the podcast.
Yeah. And I personally didn't expect it to get to this point. I thought everything was under control. Apparently it wasn't.
No. It's gotten pretty wild. So, yeah, a lot of cities shutting down right now. Airport overall travel was down. Not as many people, nearly as many people, just on the road. So it's what are drivers gonna do if they're out? And then it's gonna be, I hope this is as far as we need to go in terms of social distancing. I hope we're not Italy in a couple days where literally you have to fill out a form to go outside. I really
your apartment.
I hope that that's not the case, and then if that is the case, then no, like there's really unfortunately nothing that a driver can do and a lot of these hourly workers can do, aside from there are some, as far as I understand, there are some legislative matters maybe kind of pushing through.
You know what I say? Instead of bailing out these companies, why don't you bail out the people?
Well, all right,
government.
This is super off topic and not to get overly political, but like why from a in terms of a fiscal policy standpoint, sure, like it does make sense to try to inject some money into the market with $1.5 trillion and lowering the interest rates. That should start to spur things along more. Yes, but at the same time, that is kind of like a something that is intended to kind of like trickle down to normal people. Ideally, like people are going to be able to stay employed because companies say, oh, well, I can borrow money, so I'm going to borrow money cheaply, so I'm just going to get a loan and be okay. What's the problem is, like, hourly workers right now, they just can't go in, and it doesn't really make sense for a restaurant. Let's say a restaurant, we'll get to drivers in a second here, but let's say a restaurant, it doesn't make sense for me to pay this worker when they're not there doing anything. Like I as a restaurant, I'm gonna go out of business if I do that. So then what should happen then is like, hey, bail out that restaurant. It's like give that restaurant some like insane tax break or just tack money in their pockets like right then, so that they, based on how much they're paying this hourly worker, to be able to stay home. Do that, or take out the middleman of the restaurant and just give the money to the worker, right? Which is,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this isn't some like thing that we could foresee coming at us. I mean, this is a brand new emerging disease that has never been foreseen before on this planet. So it's not like we can prepare for this. I mean, we could prepare in the public health policy standpoint, which we haven't. Another whole different topic, but it's not like this is something that's just like, oh well, pull yourself up on your own bootstraps. It's the capitalist mindset.
No,
like
this is like, listen,
this is a doomsday virus. Like,
yeah, no, I hear that argument of oh yeah, well you should have had a rainy day fund. Get the fuck out of here. No one.
You can't prepare for
never
this.
happened ever. Never
no one in a million years would have thought some bat virus from Wuhan, China was going to spread around the world and ruin the economy.
No. This is if there's ever been a time where people deserve a bailout, some sort of a basic income thing, it's right now. Like it's
right now.
This is like an extenuating circumstance. That's what I think. So when I say, okay, like with the hourly workers figure out a way to either pay that restaurant for that waitress plus their tips for waitresses and waiters specifically, either figure out a way to get money to restaurants for that specifically, or just give the money to the people. And for rideshare drivers, hey, I have a really hard time seeing a lane where Uber and Lyft, without people contracting the coronavirus or COVID-19, I don't really see, or definitely haven't heard of any points where they're saying, okay, we're going to pay our drivers for the fact that their cities are shut down, and for the 50+% of full-time drivers, we're just going to pay them for like this maybe 2-month period where they can't do anything.
I think it's a phenomenal idea.
But I don't see that. I don't see that happening.
They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it unless if they. I mean, I don't know what their financials are, but can you imagine if those companies banded together, or hell, even if the government gave them a tax cut, or some kind of like financial incentive, like here's $500 million, distribute this amongst your full-time workforce, your full-time contractor base. And that's super simple to find out. Like, all you have to do is look at all the metrics they collect, how many hours you drive, how many trips you drive per week, how much you're making per week. And then you could pretty much deduce with fairly statistical certainty that this is probably a full-time driver on the roads. Credit this account, we're going to credit you. I'm not even asking for, like, something, like, exorbitant. Like, even, let's be real, even $1,500 a month.
Yeah.
or even $1,000
Yeah.
a month during this like 2-month
Yeah.
period where we're on national
I think
lockdown.
1,500. 80% of your average. If it's 1,500, whatever, 80% of your average earnings would be enough to get by, and I think drivers would
Enough to get by.
appreciate this.
And they would.
Of course, we asked a question actually on like the same survey, which hasn't released yet. We're gonna like put it together and release it. Hey, this was maybe 5 days ago, which again is like a world away at this point. We asked
Literally like
eons ago, like wild. Like I remember being. Sorry to get off topic again, but like I remember being really mad when I realized I couldn't go to Pittsburgh, and I was like, "Oh fuck, come on, guys!" And I would love to go back.
Like 2
I
months
would love to go back to that being it. To that being as far as
because now you're like, I'm scared to lock my house.
Right. Like there's I mean there's so much like if we're being real, like listen, like as an app right now, we're built around the rideshare industry. So if we look at like what our numbers are, just to hey drivers, I know Gridwise Jay is a driver. I don't drive as much, but we're all dependent on like this space right now for our company's like success. So this is incredibly real for everyone here.
It is incredibly
real. So yeah, like I don't think. Or I was gonna say, a week ago when we asked this survey, we said, hey, guys, do you think Uber and Lyft is doing enough for drivers during this period? And 58% of them said no. And honestly, at that time, I wasn't really sure. I was like, I don't know. I think that's decent. I don't really know how much more should be done. But now, again, fast forward to now, and you realize how much trouble some of these drivers in a New York or in a LA or in a Seattle, it might not be every market, but in those select markets that are shut down right now, how much they're going to be economically affected. I can see that no, these companies are not going to do enough. I don't really foresee them doing any more, but absolutely not.
And it is such a painful thing that just like you're like, we have the luxury of being fully employed, and we're working from home. And it's like, I read a post online on a forum, and the person was like, hey, like this is an unpopular opinion, but for all of you complaining about being bored working at home, you're so freaking lucky. Like I'm out here, I work retail. I'm out here, I work a gig work. I have to be out. I have to be a cashier at the grocery store. I have to stock the shelves in the back and expose myself. And also, unlike you, if I get sick, I don't get paid leave. So it's like, I feel guilty. I feel bad. And I wish as a person that there's more that I can do. And the shame is, I can't do anything. I'm only one person in this society that's just churning and churning away. And I just feel like a cog in the system, man.
Yeah.
In the machine.
Yeah.
I really wish I could do more. I guess the part of the reason why we wanted to do this podcast today was, what can we do like right now between you and I that we see that could potentially help certain drivers in that situation where you're doing this full time, you're living paycheck, you're relying on this income paycheck to paycheck. You can't not drive. You need to pay your bills. You have debt. You have this. You have that. So we were thinking, what kind of services are out there that, off the top of our heads, that we think could help? And Brandon and I, we've come up with a few things that could potentially help you and ease this financial strain. I
mean, the couple of different areas that I think drivers should really look into. Every driver out there, if you can right now, jump on these things ASAP. Food delivery, right? So we have the DoorDashes of the world, we have the Postmates of the world, we have the Uber Eats of the world. Those things are those are going to be big. Who else is out there? Caviar for some markets, Grubhub for most markets, Seamless. I think Eats is Eats.com a thing. I don't know.
Wait,
no, it's just Eats. Yeah. I think there was a while ago there was one called just Eats.
Oh really? That's interesting.
GoPuff, check out GoPuff. We should try to link all this stuff at the bottom. No tracking, no like money making links or anyone. Just everyone just like know what's out there.
your best bet is to be armed with information and all the knowledge that you can, because then you can make the best decisions for yourself. So we're not saying these are the services. Let's be honest. Driving food delivery is not making any money, but look at the other side. At least you're not driving around people. You're just going to doing food.
I mean, at least it's there, right?
People still have to eat. Not everyone's stocked to the nines with food. I mean, Chipotle is even, trying to do free delivery.
Yeah.
And they go through Postmates and DoorDash. They contract these out. So that's another way to broaden your income. So drivers out there, if you're in that category where, this is financial make or break, consider, and if you haven't considered already, consider food delivery on multiple
everything you can, because if there was ever a time to really see, hey, why do we need to diversify like some of these like income channels, like now is it like get into, again, DoorDash, Postmates, Uber Eats, Caviar, if you can do Grubhub and like Seamless, GoPuff, all these services, jump on those. But then it's like, but then obviously like another obvious one is just like your food delivery places, like your Instacart and Shipt. I think a lot less people know about Shipt than Instacart, but Shipt essentially does something really similar. Jump on those right now. Like those are gonna be huge.
Even if it's a supplement your income, like with rideshare, if you still choose to do that. But be aware, you should know the risks. Like this is an airborne, highly contagious disease. Like, and it's everywhere.
Absolutely. So, Amazon Flex, of course, which I know a lot of drivers know about. That actually pays like really well. I don't want to say that too soon. I'm pretty sure that pays like pretty solidly well. I think that's just like a guaranteed like anywhere from like 15 to 25 per hour, depending on like your shift and like your area and things like that. But you're not going to get that many hours with that. You're only going to get like 4, 8, 12 hours a week. So you can't necessarily bank on that for everything.
And there's another platform that's not even related to driving. It's another gig platform, and we actually contract out various positions ourselves, hourly contract positions on this web platform. It's called Upwork, Upwork.com, guys. So go on that site. It's just a marketplace for you to be connected with freelancing opportunities. And at a time like this, like if you are dependent on a make or break financial situation, do everything you can. Here's another option. So Upwork.com.
And Upwork is just to explain a little bit more. Upwork is a place where people will hire anyone to do anything, almost anything within reason. Let's not get too crazy. But you could do things like data entry, being a virtual assistant. If you're have some bookkeeping skills, if you have some writing skills, anything along those lines, folks on Upwork will hire you for that. So check that out. Get on there and just see, hey, what maybe I could do. Fiverr is another one that's really similar to Upwork. It's a little bit more, you have to kind of do things yourself, but Fiverr is also like super similar. So if you have any sort of like a ad hoc skill set or things like that, like do that. Like jump onto a Fiverr or something like that. Also, one that we didn't mention before that's more physical is TaskRabbit, which is just like I don't know, like random things like odds and ends and things like that drivers could be doing. Check that one out. I think that one's going to be something that's still alive. I hear a lot of drivers looking and just saying, hey, I'm kind of trying to hustle and like sell as many things as possible. So, I mean, if that's your hustle, jump on Craigslist, jump on Facebook Marketplace, jump on what are some other ones? Let It Go. Depop if you got like some clothes and things like that you want to sell. I don't know.
That, and also we will also be on the lookout for anything in the news. We have people scouring the internet about anything related to developments, whether it's government policies, assistance programs, that kind of things. We'll be sure to link it in the description of this video.
One other I'm not sure of the status of this, but I know census workers have either started or are starting soon. So that's like a pretty, I don't know, that might still be like part-time, but I know it's like a pretty solid like hourly wage there. So check that one out as well. Yeah, and you know, even if you're in a market that is still, you know, has some things going on right now, even if you are still getting some rides, just start diversifying right now, because we don't know what's gonna happen next, man.
We don't know. So part of the unknown is, what if we decide to follow the footsteps of some countries out there and ban public transportation, buses, subways, trains, the metro, Uber and Lyft, rideshare gigs, taxis? Are these lumped into the same category as public transportation? We don't know. So imagine if there's a moratorium, a hold placed upon rideshare driving. You can't go out, you can't drive. Passengers can't use the app. It's frozen. That just kills it completely. So, like Brendan said, diversify now, guys.
Yeah.
And the sooner you do that, the sooner you look into more options in addition to what you're doing now.
Yeah.
The much better chance.
Now on the flip side, what could be interesting is if you do have, you know, public transportation being banned. I don't think that they would say, okay, Uber and Lyft, you're now public transportation. I same thing with taxis. I don't think they necessarily say, okay, well, taxis are banned are banned along with public transportation as public transportation. They might, you know, ban them separately. I think there's less of a chance you do that because you're still, if you're with a taxi, you still are, you know, you're only with maybe 4 people at a time, right? So that's like.
So you're saying it's like private.
That's like a private transport. So if that happens for drivers, then I would expect there to be a little bit more of an influx of people, because when you do have to go to the grocery store, when you do have to like go in the office for a second, when you do have to like do different things you just gotta do to live your life, which throughout this process people are going to be doing more and more, hopefully, then people are going to take Ubers much more than public transportation, much more than public transportation, though they will, it will be less. So I mean, I think that's a hope for the driver, but still like a nasty situation right now.
Yeah, and really unfortunate as well. And we're also actively trying to seek out continued partnerships with a bunch of different financial partners that we have in the app right now, and explore some new ones. Maybe they have some financial products and assistance packages or services that are of use to drivers in these trying times. So be on the lookout in the Gridwise app on our perks page too. Just scroll through it, take a look. It's updated constantly. So, and once if we do score some of these like financial deals or packages and partnerships, we can also link in the description of this video as well, ad hoc.
Yep. Yeah, so we're always going to be, hopefully we'll have we're working on some partnerships to provide more information and just do everything we can for drivers. Honestly, unfortunately, there's not a lot anyone can do unless you have a cure for corona that you have like a billion doses of. Then
yeah, and not to make light of it, but you and I, like we're not like we're closely tied to the rideshare industry. So if everything goes kaput, we go kaput, we lose our.
Yeah, 1,000%. I'm keenly aware.
1,000%.
Keenly aware.
So the pressure's on, all across the board. I don't want to sound too negative, but drivers, let us know in the comment section what you think could be done from a policy perspective, from even Uber, from Lyft, or even from us. Like let's get a discussion going.
I would love for drivers to share, hey, what do you think can be done from a fiscal policy standpoint, or from Uber or whoever? What can be done, but also what are you doing right now? If you have any tips about like how you are making more money right now, I would love for you to just spread the word in the comment section, so your fellow drivers have an idea of some things that they can do as well. Because if we don't, as folks in like this gig economy world, if we don't help each other now, like no one's gonna help us. So we have to help each other here.
Agree completely. All right, guys, it's been real. I hope this wasn't too heavy, guys, but we'll be back with another podcast sometime later this week. By the time you get this, it'll probably be Tuesday or Wednesday. So stay safe out there.
Stay safe.
Stay safe out there, guys.